This is the not-so-old Kimberly Page from the old World Championship Wrestling, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com.
All right, we're back, and we're joined by DDP. Welcome to In Your Head, man.
Hey, man, it's all good.
You got the big book out? Yoga for Regular Guys? I got a copy right here.
I just got a call from a producer who wants to take it to the Health and Fitness channel, and he loves it. He told me his brother is a doctor, a medical doctor, in Tennessee, and loves the book, does the workouts from the book, Yoga for Regular Guys, and sent it to his brother, who is a producer out here, who said he's as inflexible as a 2x4. And he goes, I love the book. I've been doing the workout. I'm a little bit more flexible. And, I want to talk to you about doing a show. I mean, when you guys beeped in a couple minutes, 30 seconds ago, that's who I was talking to. When I hung up, then I realized it was you. That's why I picked up the phone.
Yeah. In Your Head's calling. You gotta take that call.
In Your Head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's a big deal. Going to be like a what was that on the Fitness Network?
It's just one of those, discoveries. I don't know which one it was.
Right.
To me, everything is positive BS in this town. It's all positive, but it's all BS until it becomes reality. That's entertainment in general,
Yeah. Oh, I know that.
That's why I try to take care of things I can control. That this book is something I can control. The editors try to edit it down. They tried to change the cover on me a bunch of times, and I gave in a little bit, but I wasn't leaving what the goal was. And the goal was to make a book that was just like this guy who called me up. His brother was 44, he's 50, and they wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga.
Right.
But they'll do YRG, and that's why I'm changing it. Yoga for Regular Guys, is being branded YRG because I figured the easiest way to get regular guys into doing some form of yoga is to change the name.
Yeah, you take out the yoga name.
Exactly. Something like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Right, it's KFC. Right.
Fried chicken, but they're KFC.
I love the fried chicken.
That's the whole, after you eat it, you go, God, man, all that grease. KFC doesn't have any grease.
Right, it's KFC.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You talked about in your book about eating a lot of eggs for breakfast.
Well, I eat a lot of protein, and I like to have a huge breakfast. Do my big-ass bowl of oatmeal in the morning first, and then after that I'll have like 10 eggs every morning. But I always make them different. That's what's so great about eggs. We're writing another book right now called Cooking for Regular. That's me and my buddy Smokey. If you go to DiamondDallasPage.com, he's like my poster boy, Larry Smokey Genta. His new pictures are coming out. He's 137 pounds down from 270.
Oh, that's cool.
May 30th, dude. He hasn't been 197 pounds since he was a junior in high school.
Man.
You know what I mean? He was always, the out-of-shape fat kid. He was always what? And he never worked out a day in his life, but he's 14 months from 40. He started doing YRG. 14 months from 50, excuse me.
Yeah.
And now, because YRG is, it isn't, it's not yoga. It's yoga meets old school calisthenics, meets slow motion isometric movement, which builds up your heart rate so you never have to walk on that stupid treadmill again.
Yeah, you don't. I think my co-host here is just starting to work out, and I believe he uses a treadmill or the
exercise bike, so
it
doesn't put all that impact on your knees.
Yeah, well, where are you riding your bike to?
I try to stare at the couch, and I imagine myself getting over there at one point, but I never do.
What's your heart rate while you're doing it?
I don't know. I can't get the pulse thing to work, but it says I burn like 270 after I do it for 30 minutes.
So that makes it real. The only way that just so you know, you have no idea what you're doing. I'll just tell you that. But really, 85% of the people in a gym have no idea what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the quickest way to find out is to read something from someone who does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I do know what I'm doing because I didn't start becoming a wrestler until I was 35 and a half years old. You know, I had to find, and I told my wrestler to come at 36 and they fired me, and then I came back at 37 and they stuck me on the shelf. And I didn't make it till I was 40 years old. So trust me, as I went along, I found out the right things of how to do them and how to hold back the hands of time. And that's how I came across yoga, which became YRG. Because when you're riding that bike that you ride to nowhere, and you don't even know what your heart rate is, your heart rate has everything to do with calories and getting in shape. But when you're riding that bike, that is all you are doing, is getting your heart rate up and burning some calories. When you're doing something like YRG, yoga for regular guys, you're gaining energy, because anytime you're stretching, you're bringing blood to that area of your body, which brings energy, because that's what blood does. All right? It brings blood to spots of YRG, gives you energy. It gives you flexibility. And flexibility, my friend, is youth. But it's flexibility is youth in your body and your mind. It gives you stability because it's all about core strength. It gives you creativity because if you will fall, if you do not focus in those positions, and the thing that I'm searching for constantly in anybody who's over 40 is longevity. And that's what all of this gives you, as opposed to riding your bike, looking at the honey in front of you, when you could be, learn how to do YRG and then go to a yoga place so you know something that you're doing, and look at that sweet yoga ass in front of you. Okay, yoga butts are the best butts on the planet, and if she's a fine-looking yoga babe, way better looking than most gyms. So that's one of the things I talk about in the book. You know, most regular guys don't tell other people they're doing yoga because they don't want any more competition.
I heard a rumor that RVD was the one who introduced you to yoga. Is that true?
Well, actually, no. RVD, flexibility. The most flexible human being I've ever seen. And you see them go into a spot and drop down to a John Claudette split. You know, he's so flexible. I mean, RVD's only been hurt twice that I know of.
Yeah.
You know, and he's literally been doing this for 20 years. It's like he's indestructible. You know, I think he's coming back from a knee operation now.
Yeah.
But, hopefully, and I'm sure he'll come back flexible, too.
And he's a guy who really goes all out in all his matches.
Every time. Every single time. You know, I got a lot of respect for him. But when you're started at 35 and a half and you're wrestling into your 40s, and man, up till my last match I had in WWF, man, I was like banging. I went back and I wrestled in TNA. And I wrestled twice a month. I wrestled Raven my first time out. That match I had with him wasn't no better than the one I had with him 6 years earlier. You know, I still go out there banging. I'm 3 months from 50 now. At the time I was about 9 months from 50. But you know, I go out there and his heart, not like RVD. He's like he's from a different planet.
Right.
He's jumping off, the tops of buildings and stuff, like Superman stuff. But but he's also 10 years, 11, maybe 15 years younger than me. You know, will he be doing that when he's 45, 49?
It's hard to say. Yeah.
And then he really is Superman.
How's the back doing?
I feel great, dude. I feel phenomenal. My body's I'm the strongest I think I've been probably ever. I don't even really lift weights anymore. I lift weights for my knees because I've had knee problems, but I don't train with weights anymore. I just really pretty much just do YRG because of when you start going to your body mass. When I do push-ups into my workout, the regular guy, I tell him to hold for 3, 2, 1, go down, 3, 2, 1, push up, 3, 2, 1. But for me, I do sets of 10, where I go down for 10 seconds, hold 3 inches off the ground for 10 seconds, and push back up for 10 seconds. And I'll do like 4 or 5 of them, and just keep going through my workout in the middle of sets. Try that. Once every 2 months I hit the weights, I'm still as strong as I was back when I was, Take away the times when I was gassed to the gills, for that extra power. But when I was just lightly gassed, I'm as strong as that, being clean. So It's all about core strength, you know. And right now, my body, my back feels great, my neck feels great. You know, I'm also not jumping off the top of, you know, of a turnbuckle and bouncing down.
Right. Mm-hmm. Since you brought it up, I wouldn't bring it up myself, but you brought up about being gas and stuff. Do you think the steroid testing at WWE? Do you think that's going to be legit?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you what, Vince will, the last time, and you'll notice.
You can notice on TV.
Of course you can notice, but I'll tell you what, man, they had the strictest testing, way stricter than the NFL or anybody.
Uh-huh.
I mean, way stricter. Remember when they did it back in the day, about 6-7 years ago, whenever it was?
Right.
Well, man, they would sit there and watch you piss.
Yeah.
You know. So, I mean, you ain't no getting around. No pull no Tom Sizemore where you pull out the prosthetic penis. You know. I mean, they're really strict about that. So, yeah, and when Vince does something, he don't do it half-assed.
Mm. You know? You think it's good for wrestling?
I think it's bullshit. That's the only one I know.
Oh, okay.
I think it's bullshit. I think that in the NFL, in the major leagues, there isn't a sport that 70% of the guys aren't doing it.
Yeah.
There just isn't one. You think that there's a 40-year-old pitcher out there that's throwing over 100 miles an hour in his 40s that is doing that because he's genetically gifted? You're kidding, right?
Right.
I mean, now let's take it for granted. You know, a lot of people bust Barry Bonds' chops. Try to hit a ball coming at you 100 miles an hour. I don't care if you're gassed to the gills. I don't put that ball over, out of the park. Mm-hmm. You gotta have talent.
Oh,
you know, and bottom line is Barry's one of the most talented guys on the planet. And what people, what I love about it is that these people, and I love when someone says something to me about it, very true. It's your fault. It's the reason why, meaning you, the fan.
Right.
It's the reason why the guys are more yoked up and more yoked up.
Yeah, because actually last time when they really did the steroid test, they would say actually like the ratings they went down because
yes, because you want to see freaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line is you want to see a guy run a faster 40, a faster 100. You want to see a guy jump higher.
Mm-hmm.
You the fans are the reason why. So, you know what? You don't have to take the side effects for it. So I think that all these people are going to probably shut the F up, and they go into it. It's what price they take. Now, kids are a different story. But you know what? The way it is today, why don't the parents take some responsibility for some stuff?
Right.
I'm so sick of people dumping it off on other people. Take responsibility for your own actions. Bottom line is, I did right there, but I didn't abuse him. But that doesn't make me any better, any less than the guy who did. If anything, he's going to feel it way more than me. Because to me, who cares?
Right.
It's sort of like, who came first, the chicken or the egg? Who gives a damn?
In a way, it saved baseball. I mean, it was when everybody started hitting all the home runs, it really brought interest back to the game.
What a surprise! What a surprise. What it really comes down to is you come to the arena. Diamond Dallas Page, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Kevin Nash, I don't care who, pick a name. If they're not there, and I'm not saying those guys are on anything, I'm just saying if they're not there because they're hurt, and you came there to see them, you're pissed.
Right.
If the Lakers show up and Kobe Bryant ain't playing, you're pissed.
Right.
Shaq ain't there, you're hot. He's sitting on the bench, you're like, what the hell, I came to see him.
Right.
So you demand it. I mean, basketball players, those guys play 160-something games.
Yeah.
And when they're young, nobody really needs it. It's just stuff that they want to do to enhance themselves or whatever, but they're the one who takes the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff on baseball is just so... What's his name? Canseco? He shoots everybody off?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Oh, God, he must be loved.
Yeah. So that's what we brought you on here for.
That's being a rat.
We want you to...
a rat.
We want you to drop some names here.
I don't, would never.
No, I'm just kidding.
I got too much respect for what every one of those guys do. They're out there busting their ass every night. Who cares? I care that, hopefully they don't get hurt, Right. The bottom line is, everybody takes their own responsibilities, but right now, I guarantee you that Vince will take this very seriously because it's filtered off in other stuff, and he'll take control of it, like he always does.
Yeah. Did you ever get the surgery on your back?
Didn't have to.
Yeah.
That's why I wrote the book.
Right. That was my next question. If you think the yoga, did that really save you from getting the back surgery?
Well, if you were ever to see me speak, you would see how I just was in St. Louis and I did the health fair, their expo that they had there. I spoke 3 different times, and during it I talk about having my L4 and L5 ruptured so badly that all the doctors said my wrestling career was over. I mean, I couldn't bend over, I couldn't touch my knees, literally, and I had to push myself up. And you watch older people do it. They'll put a hand on the table and a hand on their knee, and they'll push themselves up because their back is shot. Well, that's what happened to mine at 42 and a half years old. And they said my wrestling career was over. My wife had been trying to get me into doing yoga at the time forever. I was like, yoga? Put me caught dead doing that crap. I mean, that was my attitude.
Right.
And, it's really funny to me because the first 42 and a half years of my life, I wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. But, like I said at the beginning of this thing, my mind had to become flexible before my body could. And once I did, my body became more and more flexible, but it also became stronger and stronger. Like what I do when I'll show them how far I can bend over. Then with straight legs, I stick my head between my legs and then come up and grab my foot and hold it up even with my head on either side. And then I go into it. I say, let me show you what I've just recently been able to do, which is it's called a crow position. And what you do is you get on your hands and then you put your knees on your elbows and you balance yourself. Everybody's like, ooh, but that ain't nothing. Then I lift my one leg up in the air and I go, and then after I finally could do that a year later, let's see if I get the other one up there. And then I go into a handstand and then I do a standing push-up and bounce to my feet. I mean, I can still wrestle today. I'm going to wrestle for something in May or something. Everyone, just to show I can.
Yeah. Where's that going to be?
In Orlando somewhere.
Not for TNA?
No, it's not for TNA. I don't want to do anything that's going to be... Because there's every time you walk out there, you take a chance of hurting yourself.
Right. You want to do a big high-profile thing.
Yeah, I'd do something, just low-key fun, I'd work with Randy Orton, if there was a program or something, but that's the only guy I would really love to work with, for maybe 2 months of every year. But that's the only one that to me. And there's enough, little history there with him doing the RKO and all that action.
Yeah. One of our fans actually sent in a question about that. They want to know how you felt about him doing the Diamond Cutter and renaming it.
He's not really doing the Diamond Cutter.
Right.
He's sort of doing a modified version of it. And I called him up and told him I wanted, to do the Diamond Cutter.
Yeah.
And he was like, Randy's one of the most respectful guys in this business because look at his heritage.
Right.
Second
generation.
And but he's good. He's a really good guy. To me, when Randy's really going to get over is when he becomes Randy Orton. And then he'll be a babyface. And he'll be over huge.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll draw huge money. But he's a kid right now. Let him have fun being a heel, and doing his thing. Because he really doesn't know how to be. It takes a while to really bring yourself to the character. It took me a long time. And I started at 35. The reason why my career really took off when I was 39 years old was because Paige Falkenberg stopped trying to be Diamond Dallas Page, and Diamond Dallas Page started becoming Paige Falkenberg.
Right.
And that's when people can really relate to you, And like I said with Randy, I called him up and said, Randy, I said, I'm done. I want you to use a Diamond Cutter. And he was like, oh, Diamond, I can't do that. That was yours. And I said, I know. He goes, yeah, but you made it famous, dude. I can't do that. I said, yeah, dude, I want you to take it. You know, I want someone like of your talent to take it to a different level. And I think that's why he's doing his Virgin. At some point, he may fall into doing, you know, some of the stuff that I was doing off of it, and, you know, God bless him. You know,
right.
Great talent, you know, so I wish him more luck in the world. So
I think we got a caller on the line. Who is this?
This is Raven Effect.
No, you're on the line with DDP?
Yeah, I'm just one. Well, first off, do you mind if I ask you about your wrestling career, or are you just here to talk about your book?
Oh, you can ask me.
No, everything.
Yeah, okay.
I appreciate asking that, though.
Yeah, because you seem very intense in the... Yeah, I just didn't want to do anything that would insult you, so... Well, first off, of course you had the huge runs in WCW where I got completely hooked. The reason I started watching, actually. And then you came over to WWE, and your kind of accomplishment was beating William Regal for the European title. So, what are your thoughts on kind of going from World Heavyweight Champion to European Champion?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a treat working with Christian because we had great chemistry together. It was like anything, you know, when you come in, what really sort of bothered me about going up there is that I had to earn my stripes all over again. Mm-hmm. I was like, wait a minute, dude. I started at 35 and a half, tore my rotator cuff, got fired at 36, came back at 37. I was a manager.
You're DDP.
I paid my dues. I paid my dues. You know, so, you know, I thought, but in there, what didn't matter. You had to pay your dues all over again. So that's what I saw. I saw paying my dues, and then with Christian, we had a hell of a deal. At WrestleMania 18, that was a hell of a match we had. And,
yeah, and
I saw it only, you know, I would have been back in that main event picture within 3 months, but that's when I took the really bad fall on my neck. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize it, but my fifth, sixth, and seventh vertebrae in my neck was literally pushed up against the wall of my spinal canal. And if I was to take a bad bump on that, and I had really no flexibility in my neck at all at the time. So that's when it was sort of Vince who retired me. You know, he didn't want to take the chance. Yeah. And he wanted me to be a color commentator, but I had different plans, you know, and, you know, we left on good terms. But today, I can't turn my head in a circle, but I can look over my right shoulder, my left shoulder. I never had this flexibility before. You know, I mean, not never before, but since I was a kid, since I was over 35, my neck has never been this flexible. So, you know, I saw it as paying my dues, and I was turning my career around right at that point up there. I'd proven myself, and, you know, then it just sort of, you know, everything happens for a reason. You know?
Mm-hmm. We got another caller on the line with DDP.
Old reliable Wacko Bob.
Hey, you got a question for Dundal's Page?
Actually, I do have a question for DDP. What was it like when you were first getting into wrestling, not just as a manager, but as a wrestler, and you gradually built yourself up and everything? Did you have a hard time with the politics and everything, especially in WCW?
Oh, man. I'll tell you what. I was running nightclubs since I was 21. You know, I was always, like, sort of famous, you know, because everybody wants to know the guy who runs a hot nightclub. Mm-hmm. So I did swallow a huge amount of humility, you know, and it was really good for me, you know, because I was one of the cockiest son of bitches on the planet walking in there, and then you get in there with all those guys who are all bad SOBs, every one of them, you know, and when I shifted from being a manager to a wrestler, they beat the hell out of me. I mean, I can't tell you how many times my body came crashing on that mat, and I said to myself, man, this fake stuff hurts like hell. You know, and then I can remember one time being with Ron Simmons, who was one of the strongest guys. Big Show was the strongest guy I've ever known. But Ron Simmons would be up there. And I had screwed up the spot. And I only been wrestling. Ron was very good to me. You know, he was a good man to me, because he respected my work ethic. But when I blew that spot, he hit me so hard. I've seen the biggest blue it was really sort of, it wasn't just him either. It was plenty of guys. And it was more or less, you want to wrestle? This is what it really can be like at times.
Oh, man.
And it was tough, man. It was really tough, but I just had that never say die, give up, quit attitude. And when I tore my rotator cuff, there was a point where I was, home and laid up, and I was just getting back and doing independence, making nothing. And my wife, Kimberly, at the time said, honey, you need to get a real job again because we're having a tough time making it. I said, you need to not let that door hit you on the ass on the way out if you don't believe what I'm doing. That's how focused I was. There was no one going to derail me from what my vision was. And I really didn't envision myself ever being a world champion. I envisioned myself being the guy who walked out to that ring and you didn't know if he was going to win or not. I called it the Rick Rude spot before Rick was a world champion. Where Rick went out there and you didn't know whether Rick could beat this guy,
right?
Or Rick could do the job, But you know what? I'm gonna watch this match because you don't know what the finish is. That was my goal, and it was 1995, and I'm talking to Dusty Rhodes, venting because Dusty was a huge mentor for me. So was Jake Robertson, Jody Hamilton, the assassin, but Dusty was my biggest. He let me vent, and. At one point I said, oh man, they're never going to give me that Rick Rude spot. They're never going to give it to me. They're going to give me the opportunity. I don't ever expect to be you or Flair or Hogan. I don't ever expect to be a world champion. And I kept talking. He goes, what'd you say? I said, well, I don't ever expect to be Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan, man. He goes, no, after that. I said, well, I sure as hell don't ever expect to be the world champion. He goes, then why are you doing it?
And look where you are now, one of the most charismatic wrestlers there are, too, as far as the world champion, too, at that point.
That's what Austin always says, if you're not there to be the world champion, why are you there?
Absolutely. And it was that day I hung up the phone with him, and I wrote it down. I wrote it down before I retired, because I didn't have a day on that, so I couldn't put a date on it, but I will been the world champion. And, it was so real in my head. It's sort of like this book I'm telling you about right now, this Yoga for Regular Guys, the DVD. I just left a production meeting about setting up the DVD. My ex-wife Kimberly was with me, and my president, Alan Ludloff, and we've got the film company there, and we're filming 7 DVDs in a row. Because the book is one set of DVDs, and it's for the guy who's the athlete who wants to be a great athlete. I'll give you an example of someone like that. Michael Jordan. Do you know that he never made his freshman or sophomore basketball team?
I remember.
In his junior year, he sat on the bench. His senior year, he came back and he was the star of the team through work ethic, probably the number one work ethic ever. Through college, he made a huge name for himself. But when he got to work with Phil Jackson, and I'm not saying that this made him the best ever, but everything you add to your portfolio that makes you better. And he added yoga to his workout. Because Phil Jackson's an old hippie.
Yeah.
He was doing like the real yoga, not my shit that's more like a workout. His was like the namaste and I don't know where he got with that, but Michael started doing it. Michael's core strength is unheard of, and where he gets. So I've got to give some of the nod to that. See, YRG is for the guy who's an athlete who wants to be a great athlete. It's for the guy who's the armchair, is a weekend warrior who goes out and still plays softball, and he still plays basketball once in a while, but God, he feels like he'll hit by a truck the next day. If he's doing this, he won't. He'll feel unbelievable. Wants to go skiing. He won't feel like he got his ass kicked. Or it's for the guy who's in his late 40s, early 50s that, still got enough to be able to do this workout. But then I've got another workout that I call YRG plus 50 that's going to come out on DVD. That's for people over 50 pounds. Oh, man. I modified it. And then I got YRG, the Fountain of Youth. And that's for 50s, 60s, and 70s. Out there, I'm going to change the world. It's already happened. I've seen it happen with so many guys. If you go to DiamondDallasPage.com, you'll see some of what's called Team YRG, our case studies. But I've got like 30 of them about to go up there. They've been doing this for months. And It's changing the world. And that, like I was saying, when I said I was going to be a world champion, and it was in my head, I had already seen it. It was done. That's what I see with this. I mean, remember when Tybo, like, exploded and everybody was talking about that? That's going to be YRG. It may take 3 years, but it's going to happen.
Cool. One more question I got for you. I want to go back in time. It was on the message board, one of the specific questions I was hoping to hear about, the dying days of the AWA when you were there. Mainly, the one question I do have, mainly to that is, what was it like at Super Clash 3 when the AWA teamed up with the World Class and Continental Wrestling and teamed up with the Jarrett from Tennessee? What was that like, and what were the general dying days of the AWA like?
Well, you know, I come in late. I mean, everybody, the only reason I got that job, everything happens for a reason, right? Paulie dangerously goes to the NWA. They don't have anybody on that show that can really talk. Kurt Hennig was it. And Kurt didn't turn in anywhere near the talker that he would become as Mr. Perfect. You know, but he was just really getting his feet wet with, you know, he was getting his rap pretty cool on that. But really, there was nobody else in that federation that got a promo. I was a nightclub guy. I was making it up as I went along. You know, so I came in there, you know, right at a time that, you know, it was in his last few months. I never would be where I am today if that doesn't happen.
Right.
What was really cool was getting to meet Ray Stevens, the Crippler.
The Crippler, yeah.
Who is now, at that point, and Wahoo McDaniels, you know, who would be sitting in the locker room as the agents. And back then, they never let baby faces and heels be in the same locker room. They were in the other locker room. They sent the stuff back and forth, and they went out there and called it. You know, it was pretty wild. My favorite memory ever, when you talk about that Triple Clash thing that they had, was Kerry Super Clash. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Clash 3.
Yeah. Kerry Von Erich got his boot pulled off, and you know he had the 1 foot.
Right.
In one of the matches, I think, I don't know if it was Law or something, went into a figure 4 and pulled it off by accident, you know?
Yeah.
That's something that really stands out in my mind. But the thing that really stands out in my mind was a Samoan SWAT team. Remember them?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
I remember them.
Yeah.
They were they were the best that was the best tag team of big men, athletes I'd ever seen. And now they're in Tennessee, right? And I can't remember who they, you know, beat, but they were local boys. They were pretty boys from Tennessee. Well, the Samoan SWAT team, they're on their way. They're sending those guys are walking back. I mean, they're down it was a long ramp, and almost around to walk down the locker room, and they look back, and I'm out there watching the show from the distance, and I'm watching this whole thing. The two guys who just taken their death finish, whatever they, you know, take you with, which looked unbelievable. I'm sure it didn't hurt you at all. They jump up in the corners and raise their hands because they're from Tennessee, like, we're okay.
Yeah. That didn't go over well with none of that.
Yeah, sad part about it was in the AWA. You did great. You did great in the AWA. You looked great with Bad Company, but I don't know if you necessarily was a good fit for Colonel de Beers. I don't know if that was a good.
Oh God, no, hell no. But let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened. Friggin' the Samoan SWAT team ran to the ring, slid in, and beat the hell out of those two guys. They beat them down the aisle, through the hall, down the stairs, and into the lockers. Oh, man, it was the worst beating I have ever seen two guys take. Because they literally, this was the real tag team. Because they when one was hitting one and throwing there, the other one would pick them, they double team on them, like for real. They beat and bloody. I wish I could remember who the guys were.
Yeah.
But all I remember was they were as tough as you got.
Definitely wasn't my memory.
That's my memory from Super Clash.
Oh, man. Last question I got for you, and I'll actually get off the air and listen, actually, after I ask this question. The question I have for you is, when you first went to work in the PWF in Florida, was that your first meeting with Dusty Rhodes? And
actually, that was. Actually, that was one of my favorite stories I told at Positively Page, because Mike Graham had called me about 4 nights before that, and he had gotten my videotape. and he knew my stuff, but he was telling Dusty, because Dusty was bringing me into Florida, because Big coming into Florida Championship Wrestling, he thought after leaving the NWA, because he was so hot in Florida, that he could be able to pop the territory. But territories at that point were dead.
Right.
But he came in to try to do it, and Mike Graham was like, well, listen, instead of bringing in Big Dial, Gary Hart, or whoever, let's bring this new guy in. His name's Diamond Dallas Page. He goes, he's got a great look, really good rep, great attitude. And Dusty was, well, I've heard of him, but I've never seen him. And he goes, well, let's get him on the phone right now. I'll have him cut a promo on you. So I got strep throat. I've got 102 fever, and I got to be up at 6 o'clock to catch a flight, because it was one of the times I work. I only worked once a month in the AWA, but I had to go up there and work the next day. I had to fly out. I was in bed like at 12 o'clock. Normally, I don't get to bed till 5 o'clock in the morning, because I'm a nightclub guy. So I'm going to bed. I got some chick with me. I'm passed out. I got up. I go to the bathroom. I hear the phone ringing. And I'm not going to answer it because I got strep throat. And I hear it's Mike Graham. Dallas, Michael Graham. Listen, I got Dusty Rhodes here with me, man. I'm for Mike. How you doing? He goes, what's the matter with you? I got strep throat. He goes, listen, forget about that. Listen, we've been sitting here drinking. I got a bottle of Jack here. I got my half-case of beer. Listen, I want you to cut a promo on Dusty. He's heard of you, but he doesn't know who you are. Blah, blah, blah. Just cut it with Mike. Not now. I've done a bit. Oh, say hello. Thank God. Dusty Rhodes, the Tower Power, the man. I went into a friggin' rip-off of him, Albano, myself, and just do as many things as I could, cliches together for about 45 seconds. And then I got to the end, I go, God, Dusty, that's all I got. I got strep throat. And Dusty, being the ripper that he is, doesn't say anything. So I'm like, Dusty? Dusty? Did you fucking hang up on me? And right there he goes, was that a recording, kid? and from there, I ended up going up and meeting with him. And I ended up meeting with him, Mike Graham, Steve Kern, and Gordon Solway. That was so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 1988.
Yeah, big names of the time.
Maybe 89. Mm-hmm. And, I just went in there, and I went in there with the attitude of I wasn't going to leave $1,200 a week for two.
Right.
Because I know that there was no money in Florida Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
So I literally said, listen, I'd be willing, to work, a day here and there if you guys got to work, but, I can't leave my real job.
Right.
And that's when Dusty said, kid, I see a lot of Jesse in you, meaning Jesse Ventura. I see a lot of me in you. He said, I think you'll be the Jesse Ventura of the 90s. I said, Jesse Ventura? I go, you want me to do con? He goes, and Jesse was like my hero at that point, Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, I don't know a wristlock from a wristwatch, literally. And he said, don't worry about it, baby. Gordon will walk you through it all. And man, if you watch that old stuff, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
It's nothing great, but to be next to Gordon Solway, that I learned so much from. And WWF actually brought me in for a tryout when Jesse retired.
Uh-huh.
Dusty got them to bring me in for a tryout, and they weren't going to do anything with me. It was just, sort of like to see how much ball busting I would take.
Right.
And the politics that, goes on in that business. And the ribbing on the square, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I worked with Lord Alfred Hayes. And after we got done, Bruce Pritchard came in and he said, okay, Diamond, what we want you to do now is we want you to be the play-by-play guy, and Lord, you be the color guy. Well, I finished that round, and Lord pushed himself back from the table, and he goes, my Lord, where did you ever learn to do play-by-play like that? And I said, dude, I've been sitting next to Gordon Soley for a year and a half. Something was bound to sink in. I nailed it so hard. Then they went, that's good. We'll call you. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a good thing they did.
Yeah, absolutely. It was because this would have been a grab. And everything, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And, you decide whether it's going to be a good reason or a bad reason. And, everything, I wouldn't change one thing about my life, anything, except if I had the opportunity, I would have been doing yoga since I was an infant.
Yeah.
And now it would be YRG. But because there's nothing that makes your body stronger. So, that's the only thing I would change. Not getting hit by the car. Everything that happened to me. Flying 45 feet through the air, almost dying. I wouldn't change any of it, except for that. Any other questions, boys?
Yeah, there's actually one here that's been a big thing on our message board. Everybody's been asking about the what's going on with the Jay-Z thing.
Well, Jay-Z's been served, from what I've heard, and I'm sure his lawyer has, and everybody. What it really came down to is I never wanted to sue Jay-Z. What I wanted to do was work out, a licensing agreement with him. I got a lot of respect for that guy. I've said it, I've said it on TV. I've said it everywhere. I've got a lot of respect for anybody who can pull themselves out of, a hole, the hood, wherever, whatever is holding you down, and not only have a really, successful life, but he's a mogul. He's huge. So I've got a lot of respect for the man, Sean Carter. So I really didn't, even though that's mine, and I can prove it, I offered my lawyer offered his lawyer the opportunity to just work out some kind of licensing agreement. And we'll, the stuff you put it on, we'll work something out.
Right.
And to tell you the truth, at that time, it wasn't a lot. It really wasn't. I had an idea that I wanted to do with him, and, that would have shown everybody that there was solidarity between us, and it was cool for him to use it, and who cares who uses it, because Herschel Walker was the first guy to ever run in the end zone and do it. But afterwards, he gave me props.
Right.
Karl Malone gave me props. Derek Brooks gave me props. Because these guys are all guys who have unbelievable work ethics, too. Now, when I heard that LeBron James was doing it, I was like, because I never, backstory with it, I never heard of Jay-Z till a year and a half ago.
Right.
His rap music isn't something, I've heard about now. His music is really good.
Yeah.
And no wonder certain people know him. But I didn't even know about him, man. I listened to, from Frank Sinatra to country western to, to Nickelback.
Right.
That's the kind of guy I listen to,
Yeah.
But, I will listen to rap. I like Dre and Snoop and Eminem, but I never really came across Jay-Z until someone said, hey, man, Jay-Z's doing your sign. And they were like, man, what are you going to do about it? I was like, how cool is that?
Right.
He's a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? What am I going to do about that? He's a fan. And I never knew he put it on CDs and all that kind of stuff. I just heard he was doing it in videos, and I was like, cool.
Right.
He's keeping me alive, keeping it going, And then, about a year ago, somebody said something about LeBron doing it. I've been working on this YRG, man, for the last 2 years. That and movies. I did 5 movies this year.
Mm-hmm.
That magic, because I haven't really been paying attention to anything else. So I hear that, LeBron James is doing it, and somebody shows a picture, like, man, how cool is that? But maybe it's about a year ago, around there. And one of my buddies says to me, dude, LeBron isn't doing it for you. I go, well, how do you know? He goes, he's doing it for Jay-Z. I said, well, what makes you say that? And they went, he goes, well, I was watching the rookie game, when I guess LeBron was a rookie, when they had the All-Star game, and I guess he had thrown it up a couple of times then. I didn't see this, what was told to me. And what they said was that LeBron, that they went to Jay-Z at halftime and said, why does LeBron keep looking at you and throwing up the diamond cutters? Throwing up this sign. And he went, well, that's my sign. something to building a dynasty. I don't know what he said after that. Rockefeller Records, the Rock sign, and that's when I went, what?
Right. That's
when it became a problem for me. So then I had to go back and search it, and then I found out he used it so many places.
Yeah.
And you see, what people don't understand is the word trademark. Anybody can trademark anything, but it doesn't mean anything unless it's part of you. Like if you see a swoosh right now, what does that mean?
You see what?
If you see a swoosh sign.
Oh, like the Nike sign, Reebok sign?
I mean, but if I didn't say Nike, though, did I?
Right.
Okay? If you flash my hand sign before any of this Jay-Z stuff starts, who do you think of?
Oh, you gotta think DDP.
Absolutely. Dude, I got 150 different basketballs, bowling balls, action figures, underwear, flags, sheets. I've got coffee mugs. I've got everything on it.
Right.
Right? And every one of them, it says right next to it, TM.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it was huge over that period. That became synonymous. I have a copyright to that. What happened was I had a few trademarks that sort of fell through the cracks, but I just refiled for everything. Once I found out it went through, and I wanted to see if he filed for anything, and he never did, because it wasn't his. Okay, but he's pushing it out there as his, and like I said, I didn't have a problem until they sort of like told me, let's go screw myself.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's 4 emails back and forth, and they were saying that I'm sure you don't want to license it from us. We're not going to license it from you. I said, do not send them another email.
Yeah, because it's kind of disrespectful.
And I own it. And what a trademark is when people are known for something. Like when I said the Swish mark. Now, just out of curiosity, have you ever looked at the Declaration of Independence?
Not recently.
You ever looked at that? Well, you've looked at it, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
How many Swish marks are under those guys' names? Okay, just throwing that out there. And because John Sally, the basketball player, came up to me doing a charity function, and he's a buddy of mine, but he's real tight with Jay-Z, and he goes, how can you trademark a hand sign? I said, well, let me see. Let me think about that. What's Macintosh's symbol? Oh, it's an apple, right? That's been around since Adam and Eve. How'd they trademark that?
Mm-hmm.
I said, it's a hand sign, dude. It's mine.
Yep.
And it's on everything I'm doing, from my Yoga for Regular Guys book to I've got 3 moves into it. The one move's just a diamond cutter, but it's just open up the back now. I mean, I use it as part of my stuff because it's part of me.
Right.
And the sign symbolizes what my brand is. My brand YRG is the hands with YRG over it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got yoga mats coming out. I've got towels. I've got a whole clothing line coming out with everything has it on it. So do I have a problem with dissolution of brand? You're damn right I do. And now that, I mean, it blew my mind, but, it just goes to show you. I mean, you got Larry Johnson throwing up his hands, right?
Oh, Grandmama.
You know who he is?
Grandmama.
That's
Larry
Larry
Johnson? Oh, I was thinking of basketball player.
From the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about, Larry Johnson, basketball player.
No, I'm talking about the Kansas City Chiefs guy who throws it up all the time now to symbolize rockwear.
Yeah.
If you look, he even got posters of it. So that's dissolution of brand. I got my own clothing line with that symbol. So I got a problem with this. And you know what? Instead of me bitching or going back and forth, let the people decide. Let's go to court. I don't have a problem with this. I got plenty of money. I ain't got his money. But you know what? It's not going to cost me that much, though. And also on the other side of this, this thing, there's a lot of people who didn't know who Jay-Z was. There's a lot of them.
I didn't know, to be honest.
There you go, But you do now, right?
Yeah, I do now. Yeah. I knew who DDP was.
The bottom line is that this brings awareness. Maybe figures he'll just settle with me down the line. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. And you know what? It's really the last thing on my mind right now. We'll talk about anything. You got to bring it up. You did.
Right.
And my lawyer just don't say anything. You know what, dude? I talk when I want to talk. I have nothing bad to say about the guy. I got nothing but respect for him.
Right.
His lawyer, on the other hand, he treated me like I was a jabroni. Like I was a job guy. And you know what? I got out of that position 10 years ago.
Right.
And I worked, just like Jay-Z did. He worked to pull himself up. I worked to pull myself up. He did what looks like, besides P. Diddy, he did the impossible, come out of the hood and became a mogul. You know what? I came out of nothing at 35 years old and became a world champion. There's no difference. We both worked hard to what we got, and that's my sign. And I'll take that all the way to the end.
Speaking of hoods, I saw on your website you just made a movie, Snoop Dogg Hoods of Horror.
Yes.
When's that coming out?
Well, in Hollywood, I never say when when's coming out.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I told you, it's all positive BS in this town. And there's so much BS floating around, it would blow your mind. The movie I'm most proud of, Snoop Dogg's, was a lot of fun. I got to play probably the first cool white guy in an urban movie.
That's a rarity.
But I wouldn't play anything else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I got too many fans in that market A to Z, and I had fun with it. I had this really very, very, very talented guy named Pooch Hall, who plays the one rapper, and the other one is Aries. I don't know if you've ever watched Mad TV, but he's a brother on Aries who is just so funny.
Yeah.
He's real, and I played their bodyguard, and there's some stuff that goes down in that's really, really entertaining, and I had a really good time with that one. And I also did a movie with Danny Trejo called Jack's Law, where Danny plays sort of like a Charlie Bronson character from Death Wish. And I played the top heel in that, and I'm vicious heel in that. And I also did a movie with Tom Sizemore and Edward James Olmos, and it's really sort of like the serial killer thing meets the hood, but not the black hood, the Latino hood. And that was really good part for me. But the best one was the one I just finished called Driftwood. And Driftwood, I have the lead with a kid named Ricky Ullman. You guys would know who he is, but any girl who's 9 to 16 screams when they hear his name. He's on the Disney Channel on a show called Phil the Future, and he's the teen heartthrob kid.
Yeah.
And it's a great actor. And I think that kid Talon Terriero, who is, you may know him because he was engaged to Rod Stewart's daughter for 10 minutes. He's got that show Laguna Beach. So, and the guy who played the bartender in Sex and the City, David Eisenberg. So there's a lot of young great kids in it. It's a movie that's it's about a correctional institute, sort of like one of those boot camps for kids that parents send their kids to readjust them. But I am the captain of that place, and you do not want to be one of the kids there. But man, I'm a positive, inspirational role model on the outside, but that character on the inside is a twisted, sick son of a bitch.
We forgot one of our callers is still on the line. I think he has one more question for you. Sorry about that, Ari. I think he's been online for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I kind of cut off there, not sure, but anyways, here's my question. It's kind of a two-parter. I was kind of cutting out on TNA. I wasn't really watching that much. Then you come in, you have this giant feud with Raven, and I am loving it. It's the reason I'm still a loyal fan today. And I got to know, what was the impression that was left on you about TNA and about Raven?
Well, Raven and I used to be best friends and really tight, and then we had a huge falling out at the end. And I mean, like, he was at the top of my list. And I don't hate anybody, but Raven was like dead to me. Like, I don't even want to hear his name. Forget it, blah, blah, blah. And when he heard that I was coming in, he put the phone call to me in and said, listen, I don't know why there's still heat with us. It shouldn't be there. I have no hard feelings with you. If you feel the same way, call me. I did, and we fixed it all. But we used that real heat of how mad we were at each other when we cut our promos for each other. But, now Scotty and I get along back to where we were before phenomenally, because me and Raven had some of the best matches. Back then.
I was on his DVD, and I was so pissed.
What was that?
The Nevermore Mr. Raven DVD. You're not on it. I was so pissed when I saw that. I'm sitting there like, where is DDP?
We had a hell of a back to. I got to stooge Raven off on this. There was 2 times during that match. That's my first match back. And there was 2 times during that match where he goes, hey, slow down. You're blowing me up. And after I was like, no way, dude. This is my first match back, man. I'm 49 years old. We're going. And I wanted to show that I could still go. And after the match, he came up to me and he goes, because I used to do the Stairmaster, and I would do it going up and down like a roller coaster, and I would hold on to 3-pound dumbbells. And that's what made me in such great shape. He comes up to me and goes, you must be tearing that Stairmaster up, dude. I said, bro, I don't even do it anymore. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, all I do is YRG. I was explaining it to him, and long story short is about a month ago, he was laying on a table of the yoga doc, who's the guy who wrote the book with me, and he's a TNA chiropractor. We also does WWE, a bunch of different top athletes. And Raven was talking about YRG, and he said, you know what? I think that would really help Terry Taylor. His body's feeling horrifying. And next thing you know, Yoga Doc tells me, I call Terry. I sent Terry the stuff. He calls me back. Dude, I love it. So it's helping me feel better. So it was Raven that it came from. But when Raven and one of my favorite matches with Raven was when we did the me, him, and Benoit. The match we had in WCW, and we did the triple. That was the first time it was ever done. The triple.
I love that.
The triple sleeper spot.
Oh yeah.
Those 2 were in a sleeper. I said, I'll come up and I'll grab you, ready to fall to your butt. Everybody went, oh, that's priceless. Like a Three Stooges spot, but you could feel, I really dipped my tongue in that.
Yeah. I actually think that's what's missing from a lot of the 3-way matches. I used to like it when they would all do moves together. Usually now it's one guy gets kind of thrown out of the ring and the 2 guys wrestle, and then they kind of switch back and forth. But that always made it fun when all 3 guys would do moves together.
Go back and watch that match. Go back and watch. I'm telling you, as well as whoever does it, because that match is. We were all hitting each other. Me and Raven go, then we both turn around and whack Benoit. There's so many classic spots in that.
Yeah.
When they threw me through the sign, that hurt like hell.
That just looked bad.
Thanks for calling in, Artie.
Okay. Go right a sec.
See you, bud.
Okay.
Hey, boss. You raked his eyes.
Sorry, we had him on the phone for quite a while there. Did you have a question from the message board there, Inter?
There was just one. Oro, he was asking if Stone Cold's still your roommate.
No, actually, it's funny. He just called me today, as a matter of fact. And it's funny because when I called him, I said, dude, I've been meaning to call you. I go, because when I speak, I'm talking about how you can't fake gravity. And I say when you got 265 pounds in a rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, or 7'1", 500+ pounds in a big show crashing down on your body, you can't fake gravity. You start laughing. I said, I'm getting ready to do this corporate speech, so I've been rehearsing it and get it down so I own it. It's like 45, 50 minutes. And I said, every time I say your name, I said, damn, I got to call him. But you just go, when we were living together, if I'd have had that on film, forget about it.
That would have been a great reality show. I remember you guys were talking about that once. Or you were talking about that once on one other show.
I wanted to. His life was too scary as a reality show. But one more question, or are we done?
Well, we can let you go, dude. Is there any plans to ever come back to TNA?
Yeah, I never say never, but no.
Right.
Hey, did they have their pay-per-view with Sting yet?
Yeah, that was this weekend.
What happened? Tell me.
Sting, he was in the tag team with him and Christian, and they beat Jarrett and Monty Brown. And I guess they had to turn away a lot of fans. Everybody was coming to see Sting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And everybody in the crowd, they have the face paint on.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It was a pretty cool deal.
How'd Stinger look in the ring?
He actually looked really good. They even had a chant, you still got it.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah, I think that really made his day.
That's great, because I knew he would, because I knew there was no way. Me and him had our first match, I'll leave you this story. We had his first match that he had probably 3 or 4 years. We were in Hawaii. I was filling in for Hall, he was filling in for Nash, and we were both out there, and he goes, man, he goes, I'm in soccer dad shape, man. He goes, I don't know. I said, dude, we'll work against each other. We'll be fine. And we went out there. We were a half a step off, but we were right on target. He's like, man, he goes, I can't believe I haven't really lost it. I said, dude, you got it in your blood. He goes, man, if I ever come back, I'm going to make sure that I'm in great shape. So I knew when he came back, he'd be fine.
Mm-hmm. The only thing he has short hair now. He look good.
It's all about the face paint.
Oh yeah.
And that sort of makes him kiss, or if you go back to the days of wrestling number 2, you never show your age when you got that face paint.
Right.
You're timeless. And Stinger is timeless, so I'm glad he had a good match, and I'm really happy they were chanting, you still got it. That's great.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's great.
Thanks a lot for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Hey, it's been your pleasure. I got 3.9 million hits last month.
Oh, we need to pick up some of those hits.
All right, boys.
This is Eric Bischoff. Controversy creates cash. You know what else? You're listening to In Your Head